SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Whether you're looking to start a career with no student loans or change careers to land one of the happiest jobs in the world, yep, that's construction, Build Mississippi can help. Visit buildmississippi.com to learn why a career in the trades deserves another look. Buildmississippi.com. Your future is waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good morning. 21. Welcome. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Glad to be starting the day with you. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of July. Thanks for joining us. You can be part of the conversation on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Again, 601-879-4395. C Spire's got so much good stuff going on. It's almost hard to keep up. Whether it's fiber to the home with blazing fast internet speeds, now up around 2 gigabytes, or it's the nationwide LTE, or it's the business IT services, they've got you covered. They'll take care of you. They make sure that your world works the way that it's supposed to work, which is fast with C Spire. C Spire, inspired by you. That number for the C Spire text line is 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. If you want to jump in and be part of the conversation this morning. A warm day, a hot day, a smoking day across Mississippi. Corinth, partly to mostly cloudy. Actually a chance of some scattered thunderstorms this morning. Hot and humid, though, throughout the day. 94 degrees for the high. Chance of rain, 40%. Water Valley, you've got sunshine and some clouds mixed in. Hot and humid with a high of 97. Going to be 97 in Macomb today. Partly cloudy skies this morning will give way to cloudier skies this afternoon. You've got a chance of a stray thunderstorm. Maybe a shower mixed in. Gaucher, partial cloudiness earlier today. Scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. High around 94. Actually, a little bit of a breeze out of the north, which might be nice. High of about, chance of rain about 50% today in Gaucher. Heat indices in the triple digits and up to as much as 110 across much of the state. Another hot day, as you would expect at the end of the month of July. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for being with us. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning, RC.
A little toasty.
Yeah.
A little sweltering.
Used to it by now, just about, though. It's just, about 8 o'clock, you just say, all right, I'm going to sweat today. It goes all the way through until the sun starts going down, and then you sweat in the evening, and it's time for bed. It wears you out. Gary and I were laughing about that yesterday, about waking up. Or was it was like 8 o'clock at night and the heat index, or 9, it was still around 90 down here. So, yeah, not much relief there in the evening hours.
Once you resign yourself to the fact that you're just going to sweat.
Yeah, nothing to it.
It's like, okay, just carry on.
It's what they make more clothes for. You go trade them off and put on another T-shirt, sweat through it.
Oh, we had a football practice yesterday, and it was, it was right in the middle of the day. And they start their kind of camp next week. I mean, they've been practicing throughout the summer, but, it's kind of a version of two-a-days. It's not two-a-days like they used to be per se. They're going to have kind of a conditioning workout in the morning and practice in the afternoon starting next week. I was like, man, that's great. So excited about that for him.
What does he play position-wise? Or did they kind of rotate him through quite a few positions? Yeah,
this is his first year. I think that he has kind of been working out with the tight ends and maybe a little bit of linebacker as well. So I don't know. No idea. We'll see how it goes.
It'll be a lot of fun. I know that.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. Maybe these folks will have some fun today as well as they celebrate birthdays. Woody Harrelson, 64 years old today, born in Midland, Texas in 1961, the American Emmy Award-winning actor. So many options to choose from. Cheers, where he played Woody. Natural Born Killers. White Men Can't Jump. Long, long list of movies with Woody Harrelson. But the innocent, blonde-headed barback in Cheers. Man, what a great show.
Yeah, he was the dumb one. They always liked playing and messing with him, and he was a great addition, I thought, to Cheers. Something I watched growing up. Watched every rendition of it. But I loved when he was in the Kirstie Alley years. They were okay. Shelley Long, you had her in there before, so it was a kind of a revolving cast there at some point. But the hardcore regulars were always there. But what a great show it really was, and he was that was really the catapult for him. Getting the start, and man, what a player. I remember in college had an opportunity, couldn't do it because we had practice, but he requested a couple guys to come shoot basketball with him at the Tad Smith Coliseum, and it was through a friend, and me and a buddy of mine were the ones that kind of got chosen to do it, but we had baseball practice and couldn't go, so I had an opportunity to meet Woody and shoot hoop with him. Never got a chance to do it, though, so it was always one of those regrets, Hey, you got to play. I was on Scully, man. You do what your coach tells you, so. But
that's right.
What a good guy, though. Spent a lot of time in and out of Oxford over the years.
Was there any particular reason?
I can't remember. I think he was just in and out. Had some whatever. Woody was one of those guys that seemed to like it at that time in the 90s. He kind of got around a little bit, had a lot of fun, and was on I would say, the peak of his career. And I think he just
college campus is a good place to do that.
Well, I don't remember exactly what the connections were, but yeah, he was there a few times. So,
Slash is 60 today.
Hard to believe.
The English-American rock guitarist and songwriter from Guns N' Roses. Big old lid.
Yeah, he I don't even know what you call the hat. What was it? That's not even a top hat, is it? That's like a triple top hat.
Yeah, I just went with the lid.
Yeah,
it was his lid. Talented Philip Seymour Hoffman, born on this day in 1967. Capote, Moneyball, so many other films for him. Born in Fairport, New York. Alison Krauss, 54 today. Born in 1971. The bluegrass singer and fiddler. Using with Union Station, Raising Sand. Born in Decatur, Illinois. Alison Krauss. A bit of a crooner in the country music world, bluegrass world. Monica Lewinsky's 52 today.
Yeah, I remember those days.
I mean, it's kind of fascinating. So you look at all of these people whose birthdays are there, and it's people that generally have some level of fame or some level of accomplishment, and you're like, German-American physicist discovers, blah, 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 actor in all these movies. For Monica Lewinsky, it said, 52 years old, born in 1973. American White House intern, parentheses, improper relationship with Bill Clinton, close parentheses.
It was funny. I was actually up there working on the hill.
Happy birthday, Mon.
I was working on the hill in those years, so at that time. A big deal. Big deal back then.
Yeah. Happy Easter. Daniel Radcliffe, 36 years old. Born in 1989, the English actor who has played Harry Potter in the Harry Potter series of movies, born in London. So he's 36 today, and it's got to be what? 15, 20 years ago when that movie franchise began? On the heels of all the books?
It was a while back, yeah. I mean, he's put out some good stuff. What, 01? Was the first one, I believe.
Wow, so it's been 24 years.
Yeah, I mean, he is a great actor, too. I've become more of a fan of his after the Harry Potter stuff. The movie Jungle, Imperium, really, really good movies if you haven't seen them. And he's a heck of an actor.
Yeah. This day in 1829, the first U.S. typographer was patented. William Austin Burt patents America's first typewriter. They called it, again, the typographer. Mm-hmm. I wonder if all inventors, patent seekers, when they are looking for that patent or they are finishing off that invention, they go, today, I just changed the world. Like whatever their product is.
And probably have the worst name for the device. The inventor seems to always have the worst name
maybe
for the
so.
device, but then it changes, eventually to something usable.
Yeah. But, I mean, you think that, okay, we went from the first typewriter in 1829 to, we don't even think about typing today. I don't know.
Yeah, I had to take a typing class in high school just to learn the ASDF, JKL, semicolon, all that good stuff. It helped, man. It sped me up. I can click through it pretty quickly, on the traditional keyboard now. I'm not the greatest texter.
1966, Frank Sinatra's album Strangers in the Night hits number 1 on the United States charts, wins a Grammy for Record of the Year and Best Male Vocal Performance. Just 1 year ago today, the average global temperature was 17.15 degrees Celsius or 62.87 degrees Fahrenheit, the hottest day on Earth in history. 1 year ago today, also, U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle stepped down. Turns out she wasn't very good at her job. We're back with you right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross.
From the Venable Glass.
The White House to your hometown. This is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Today. Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. If you want to join the conversation, you can do so on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395 alongside Lance Talbert. I'm Richard Cross. Jerry says yesterday, the day the metal died. Ozzy Osbourne passes away. Crazy Train. And, I mean, there's so many others, right? So many others.
The whole Sabbath career.
How about the Black Sabbath frontman thing? How about the fact that just a few weeks ago, did a show in Birmingham, England, his hometown, place where he was born, with the original members of Black Sabbath, seemed to be incredibly moved by the crowd, was so incredibly grateful, takes his final bow on stage, and it's going to be his final bow in music. And it was like there was I don't know if he knew or somebody knew that it was about to come to an end, but what a way to finish it for a guy that spent, half a century in music?
60s. So 60s to 25, over half a century.
60 years in music. What a run. What a run. A former award-winning elementary school teacher has been arrested for the second time in as many years here in Mississippi for child sex crimes. Tyler Shows, who was once given an Oscar of teaching by the Milken Institute, previously taught 5th grade math at Petal Upper Elementary School before being charged in May of last year with 2 counts of touching a child for lustful purposes and dissemination of sexually oriented material to a minor. After bonding out at $125,000 and being free for over a year, the 35-year-old was arrested again yesterday. and charged with 3 counts of child exploitation. Officials with the Petal Police Department told multiple news outlets that new evidence was brought forward against Shows, who was accused of using alcohol and vapes to groom over a dozen students before resigning from his position of teacher last March. He was also found to be in possession of sexually explicit videos involving children and is accused of showing one of the students a photograph of his genitalia. He's being held at the Forest County Jail. If convicted on all 6 charges, he could spend decades, if not the rest of his life, in prison. Thoughts come to mind.
Yeah, not good ones.
Under the jail is one of them. There's another one, though. And I don't know. I guess this could be construed as advocating violence, which probably not a good idea on the radio. So I'm not advocating violence. I'm just thinking out loud. You know, he was released on a $125,000 bond once. If it could be arranged where he could bond out again, you know, be released on his own, whatever. And then there could be kind of a welcoming party of sorts for him. Maybe of some of the parents, made up of some dads out of those dozen children. You know, just to welcome him back outside the jail. Hey, Tyler. How are you?
I can't imagine.
Let's talk for a second, buddy.
Those dads and moms are not happy.
Hey, Tyler, you ever seen the movie A Time to Kill? That was an interesting one. It was a book first. Famous Mississippi author wrote it. Might be some good reading for you while you're in jail. Hey, Tyler, I was thinking about taking a ride down a dirt gravel road. You want to go with me? Oh, no, not in the car. I'm just going to hook a chain to your ankle and the other end of the chain to the bumper, and we're just going to go for a ride. Not that I'm suggesting that should happen. Twice in a year, under the guise of being an educator of 5th grade. What a disgusting, terrible, that whatever his fate is, I'm sorry. Probably should have been a little more composed than that this morning. There is a new report out from the state auditor's office, and Chad White says not entirely sure that all the teachers are going to have all the funding they need for their students in their classrooms. Mississippi State Auditor's Office released a new report showing that public school teachers, I mean, I'm sure, by the way, there's like a prove innocent until proven guilty thing. Again, I'm not advocating anything. Just saying. Public school teachers going to have to reach into their own pockets for school supplies in some cases, or risk students sitting in bare classrooms if the state's Department of Education doesn't alter the start date of a program that subsidizes certain purchases by educators. The Education Enhancement Fund procurement card program for public K-12 classrooms provides teachers with money for supplies. State law currently mandates these cards be activated by August 1st. The auditor's report finds that roughly 75% of public schools in Mississippi will begin the fall semester sometime in July. That's crazy.
Yeah, why?
Crazy.
Why would you want to go to school that early?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to... I didn't realize that the number was that big. I know that there are a lot of school districts that have gone to either a year-round schedule or to some sort of a hybrid schedule. I still thought it was right around the 1st of August.
I just don't see how parents do it year round. I mean, I can't imagine not having that little break in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, with kids and baseball and travel ball and all these different things. It seems that would be a very difficult thing to juggle.
Yeah. All right, so the story here is a lot of schools in Mississippi, 75% of them, start before the 1st of August. They've got these cards where they can buy supplies for the classrooms. They are not activated until August 1st. And so the school year could begin without the proper supplies. That's what we're doing. Shad White, state auditor, says, common sense says money spent in the classroom is what makes the biggest difference for students. My office found that Mississippi spends a greater percentage of its K-12 budget on administrative costs than every other state in the South, which means when we do spend money in the classroom, it needs to get to the teachers on time. Teachers with these EEF-eligible funds get about $750 in supplies for their classrooms. Let's see here. DOE has responded, and it looks as if they're going to be okay. All cards are going to be activated on August 1st. But starting in fiscal year 2027, these activations may occur anytime after July 1st. Oh, good. So a good update on this story. Got to get teachers what they need to get the school year started. Somebody said, I think that number is high for students starting. I believe that many have teachers that begin that early. I haven't done a report myself or contacted all the districts. I'm assuming that the state auditor's office did their homework on that. So I'll go with the 75% number. But I agree with you. My initial thought was, that sounds like a lot. 3 out of every 4 schools going to start before August. Let's see here. Daniel and Boone, with my wife going into her 19th year this school year. She spent hundreds of dollars at the start of every school season. They always have to go into their pocket, of course. Some of it's not necessary, not to mention students being required to bring Clorox wipes and cleaning supplies for the classroom. You would think the school could afford to do it. Yeah, you would. But sometimes it's just easier, right? It's just easier. You've got 4 bottles of Clorox wipes that families donated or kids brought, and you just got them there, and you don't have to request them. People have real demons in their heads. Yeah, I suppose so. That sports headline's coming up for you next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Seabrook Paint. Day Right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Been playing at a room on the strip for 10 years in Vegas. And every night she looks in the mirror and she only ages.
There's just some good songs out there, aren't there?
Man. Gotta love Alan Jackson.
Ceasefire text line popping, 601-879-4395. Kevin in Monticello suggested a meet and greet. I think that'd be a good thing to call it.
Yeah, is there a local diner around Monticello?
A meet and greet.
Meeting spot there?
My wife started school this past Friday with open house and 18 children Monday morning. That was in Corinth. Another one, Corinth City Schools, started this past Monday. Bubba in Starkville, could the governor call Trump and see about getting this piece of crap sent to CCOT? I'm serious. Yeah.
Interesting idea.
It is. It is.
Well,
the El Salvadoran prisoners.
Hey, before we got going on sports, I was going to say, on this day in history, 1903, Ford sold its first motor coach. Now, it wasn't the Model T. 5 years later, the Model T came out, but with football season ensuing, as you guys are getting ready to pack up the F-150s to go on a tailgating spree, you can thank good old Henry Ford, 1903, for the opportunity to just throw your stuff in the back and head out, man.
Thanks, Hank. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, bud.
Van Cleve starting school back tomorrow. Sometimes when I hear of situations like this, my inner vigilante comes to the top. You think? You think. All right. Glad to be with you this morning. We've got some sports headlines. They're brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Find Pearl River Resort online at pearlriverresort.com. Family fun, casino thrills, live entertainment. A lot of cool stuff going on at Pearl River Resort, including golf at the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, 2 18-hole championship courses, the Oaks and the Azaleas, available for you. Yesterday in New Orleans, the Southern Miss football team was at Sunbelt Conference Media Days. And boy, Charles Huff is not sugarcoating anything for his players or for Southern Miss fans. There were some that thought that maybe when you've got the offensive preseason player of the year on the roster, as Southern Miss does in Braylon Braxton, that perhaps they should be picked better than fifth in the West Division of the Sun Belt. And Charles Huff said, why? We were 1-11 last year. We were terrible. We should have been last in the preseason poll. Huff said this spring was all about the individual, said gave everyone an opportunity to conform to the new Southern Miss football. We taught them what it would look like to be a part of this team.
A little discipline, I've heard.
As we transitioned into the summer, it's been all about being a team. To be a championship-level team, you got to be connected. We have 70 new players. Huff went a step farther, adamant that even with Braylon Braxton, his starting quarterback, and a basket full of new talent, Southern Miss has not done anything to garner any more than a spot at the bottom of the barrel. Here was the quote. We went 1-11 last year. We should have been picked dead last. We embrace that. Until we do something about it, that's who we are. Yes, it should make us upset that we were 1-11, but disrespect and whatever has no bearing. It's how do you respond. Golden Eagles excited to get the campaign started on August 30th. Home game. M.M. Roberts Stadium, Mississippi State rolling into town.
That'll be a good one. I went through Southern's roster yesterday, position by position, just to see with the 70 additions. Man, they added some size, man. That offensive line is big. They got some pretty big old boys coming in at linebacker and safety. And the length at receiver is a little bit different than they've had. A bunch of 5'8", 5'9" guys. Man, you got a bunch of 6'3" dudes, too. So I'm curious to see this team play because it's going to be a much bigger team. And generally, if you got the speed to go with that, that does pan out well, you know.
You know, it's just hard not to be excited about Charles Huff.
Yeah, love the guy, man.
He's saying the right things, but, you know, you got to go out and do it.
Got to get it done.
So many players that were on that Marshall team a year ago that won the Sun Belt Conference are now on this Southern Miss roster. But it's not just that. They added other pieces from 70 new players. And you think about it, it's not something you used to be able to do, right? You could add 25, could kind of fudge the numbers and get to, 31, 32, something like that. You know, depending on how many you counted back and how many walk-ons you had and, whatever, graduating seniors from the previous season changed the number a little bit. All that's out the window. If you're terrible and you don't flip your roster from one year to the next, it's on you. Southern Miss was terrible. They were 1-11. Decided they needed to make a change. Charles Huff comes in. What a coup. You'll get the reigning conference coach of the year in your own league and say, come on down.
That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Now, whoever was in charge of that negotiation, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall.
Man, that one falls right on the desk of Jeremy McClain, and he gets all the credit in the world.
He's got to. I'd love to have listened to that, the pitch.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the pitch was simple. It was like Marshall was not giving what it needed. Mm-hmm. They were getting things done in spite of some support that they needed within the program to sustain it. And Southern Miss said, we want to be good, and we're going to give you that support, and here's the plan. And Charles Huff hasn't looked back.
That's a tough sell at 1-11.
C-Spire text line, when are the Rebs and the Golden Eagles ever going to play on the gridiron again? They are not. Not going to happen. I think not. I mean, never and ever or a long time. I will say that there is no reason whatsoever for you to anticipate seeing that anytime within the foreseeable with a 3x9 scope future. Just not happening. And I know people get mad about that. Oh, what? Like, you can like it, not like it, whatever. Ole Miss isn't doing it. Southern Miss probably would. I'm assuming. Ole Miss is not going down that road.
If Southern was able to host them, I think that was one of the breaking points of that deal years ago. Was Ole Miss did not want to, play in Hattiesburg.
No. Ole Miss has been, speaking of, selected as one of 6 college baseball teams that will compete in the 2026 Astros Foundation College Classic. Houston Astros announced yesterday that the Rebels will join. This is a pretty good field.
Yeah, you better be ready to go.
Texas,
day one.
Baylor, Ohio State, UTSA, and national title runner-up Coastal Carolina at Dakin Park. That's formerly Minute Maid. February 27th through March the 1st. Ole Miss will appear in a trio of contests in the tournament. They will play Baylor on Friday, February 27th. Ohio State Saturday, February 28th, and then on Sunday, Sunday, March 1st, they'll take on Coastal Carolina. Last year, Ole Miss played in the Shriners Classic in Dallas at the Rangers Stadium. So they'll be at Minute Maid, what used to be Minute Maid Park this coming year.
And that's Dakin, the company, the Japanese conglomerate. That's interesting.
Okay, is that what that is?
Yeah. It's like an HVAC and fluorochemical, oil, hydraulics, and such.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting that a Japanese company owns an American park, but
branding, advertising, tax write-off, whatever. C-Spire text line 601-879-4395, CC in Senatobia. I was hoping I'd just get off the hook on this and we'd be able to move on, but apparently not. Why not Southern Miss? Ole Miss play Memphis in football, but not Southern Miss. Ole Miss isn't playing Memphis in football anytime soon either. It's a business decision. I mean, it's that simple. It's a business decision. I mean, Ole Miss is going to have 8 home games this year for the first time in school history. So you got 4 SEC home games. There are going to be 4 non-conference home games. That's not really where they want to be. They want to be at 7 with 4 and 3. And the thought, generally speaking, is you play a demanding enough schedule in the SEC that other than, and then you got to play that one power team outside, and you need to buy wins in the other 2 or 3 games. You just need to go, and there's just, traditionally Southern Miss was pretty good. And that was anything but buying a win when you were playing that game. So, I like it, don't like it, whatever. It's just kind of how it is. That's your sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Find them online at pearlriverresort.com, the home of family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Pearl River Resort. But you do have Southern Miss and Mississippi State play. Several times in recent years that they've done that. Southern Miss been to Starkville a couple of times. Mississippi State been to Hattiesburg a couple of times, and that is how the season is going to begin for the Bulldogs and the Golden Eagles this year. Quick lottery update and more with you coming up next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Things I couldn't do before, now I know I can. And I'm leaving here a better man. Yes, I'm leaving here a better man.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine! Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mississippi Lottery update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery. MSLottery.com is their website. Again, it's MSLottery.com. Lotto America up to $3.12 million with a jackpot of, with an estimated cash value of almost $1.4 million. No jackpot winner in Powerball, but one player purchased a ticket matching 4 or 5 white balls plus the red Powerball to win $50,000. That was from Keith's Superstore in Ocean Springs. Didn't get the $1 Power Play add-on. That would have doubled it to $100,000. Tonight's drawing, $325 million with an estimated cash value of $145,300,000. Woo! Kind of gives me some goosebumps there.
Give me a yacht, man.
That's a good one. I'm on a boat. Mega Millions next drawing coming up on Friday. It's $120 million with a cash value of $52.8 million. You got those sizzling summer cash bonus promos going. Only one of them left, and the drawing is a week from today, July 30th. Supersized cash prizes up to $25,000. You can enter your non-winning hot games. $2 heat strokes, $5 blazing hot bucks, $10 red hot cash by 11:59 this coming Sunday night. And that's for your chance to win those bonus prizes. For more information, go to mslottery.com. mslottery.com. You see what the woman from Pascagoula did with the ticket? Powerball ticket, $100,000?
No, I was thinking it was a big one. It was like maybe Putin or Zelensky are ready to come off one of those yachts. I'd be buying $100K. I doubt we could buy one of those.
Probably not. Nice boat, though.
Yeah. $100K, yeah, you could get a nice one.
Greenwood woman, $50,000 on a $20 200X cash blitz ticket from Murphy Oil in Greenwood. It's a nice little payday. On a $20 $100 million extravaganza scratch-off, a Jackson man won $25,000 on a ticket from JJ's Food Mart in Jackson. Congratulations to the winners. MSLottery.com. Buy your tickets at your local lottery retailer. I have abstained. I shall not abstain any longer, Lance. It's Powerball time, baby.
You buying.
It is Powerball time.
I've seen more people buying a Powerball, too, in the gas station. I go back once a day to get gas or something, and I'll see more.
You buy gas once a day?
Well, I mean, I don't, I put gas or other sundries.
Sundries.
Other stuff. But, I'm in like a gas station once a day, I would say, probably, convenience store. And you can always tell when Powerball starts kind of growing because more people are buying Powerball. They're like, I'm going to win the big money.
Yeah, you're friends with like all the attendants at the gas station.
Yeah, I talk to everybody, yeah. I try to at least, say hello, get friendly, learn a little bit about people. But, yeah, I try to places I visit, I like to get to know the folks that I'm doing business with.
There you go. I like it. Coming up this morning, we are going to have a couple of guests. Dr. Erin Riggins will join us. She is vice president at the Harrison County campus at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. We told you yesterday in our news segment about this newest $700,000 grant from Lowe's for Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. We're going to talk with Dr. Riggins about some of the programs that are going to be implemented and some of the availability. Lance, how many years now? How long have we been doing? And here's a bridge to that conversation. Scott Waller will join us, President, CEO of Mississippi Economic Council. The MEC events.
Oh, how cool is that thing? I love going down there.
Well, it's great. I mean, the annual event and Hobnob and all the different stuff. But in these, we have talked for years now about the need for trades, and this is a national conversation that is picking up steam. It's not just a local conversation. What was it? Who was it? There was a story over the weekend. A need for 500,000 electricians in the United States. Those are six-figure jobs.
Man, let me tell you, we do this every Saturday. Handyman Show, Build Mississippi is our studio sponsor. Brent Bean. Look, if you have kids out there that are interested in making a great living, having a wonderful education behind them, certificates, freedom, look, give Brent Bean a call at Build Mississippi. They're doing amazing things there, and that's one of the places and conduits where the young folk can get licensed up, trained, and ready to go, making a living right out of the gate.
There is a proliferation of people that are older that work in trades, whether it's HVAC or electrical or plumbing, that are retiring. They're passing the business along to a child or a grandchild. They're selling the business. In a lot of cases, these businesses are being packaged together, and private equity groups are coming in and buying them. The problem is you lose some of that local flavor when a private equity company comes in. People still love doing business locally with people they know. There is massive, massive opportunity that is there. MRC, back with you right after this. The news is next.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
First thing that I thought of when I thought I drank you off my mind. When I get lost in the liquor, you're the only one I find.
Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Glad to have you along for the ride. Glad to have you starting your day with us before long. And as we learned in the 6 o'clock hour of the show, school year back going, and the morning routine perhaps for many will change a bit. Whatever your morning routine is, we appreciate when you make us part of it. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. You can join us on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. That's the number for you to join the conversation. Every sports fan can tell you fast speeds win games. That's why C Spire brings you fiber home internet, nationwide 5G wireless, and IT solutions that move as fast as your business. Learn more at cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. This hour of the show is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. If you are an HR professional, if you are in charge of all the human resources stuff that happens within your business and MWG Employer Services is not a partner, maybe time to take a look, because running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR benefits and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today. 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Yesterday was a pretty big day on the economic front for the United States. There were a trio of trade deals that were announced by President Trump's administration that are leading to investment in the United States, that are leading to new jobs, creation of new jobs, better jobs in some cases. And yet we're left a little confused, right? When we hear people talk about the economy, I don't really look at Drudge Report that much anymore because it has become very different than it used to be. It is very anti-Donald Trump, and that's fine. I mean, different different outlets can cover things in different ways, but, it's a different deal. And there are a lot of stories that you can find, whether it's at Drudge or at the Washington Post or Wall Street Journal or whatever, that want to tell you that the economy is not in good shape, that tariffs are not working, that costs are going up, and maybe some of that is true. So there are. I heard somebody talking about stats one time, statistics, and said they're kind of like a bikini. They show you a lot, but not everything. And generally speaking, you can find a statistic or a graph or a chart that will back up the position that you want to believe in, because you can manipulate numbers. But it leaves it a little bit confusing, right? So you're like, well, what's going on here? Are we in a good place with the economy? Are we in a bad place with the economy? Are Trump's tariffs working, or are they not working? I guess ultimately I'll leave that to you to decide for yourself, but the big news yesterday was a trade framework that was announced with Japan. $550 billion that will be injected into the United States economy by the Japanese, and a trade deal that includes a 15% tax or tariff on imported Japanese goods, which is a drop from the 25% rate that Trump had put into place that was going to start on August 1st, which is just, a week from tomorrow. So that tariff rate goes down, and there is a huge influx of cash from Japan that's coming into the United States economy. Trump posted on Truth Social, the deal will create hundreds of thousands of jobs. There's never been anything like it. We'll continue to always have a great relationship, the United States will, with the country of Japan. The president said Japan would invest, at my direction, $550 billion into the United States and would open its economy to American automobiles and rice. The Prime Minister of Japan, Shigeru Ishiba, acknowledged that the new trade agreement would benefit both sides and would help the two countries work together. Now, Trump wants to continue to show that he is a deal maker, even though the tariffs and the panic related to that have, kind of gone up and down, and we'll see where it ends. The framework of this deal, though, fits a growing pattern for Trump, writes the Associated Press, who is eager to portray the tariffs as a win for the United States. His administration says the revenues will help reduce the budget deficit and more factories will relocate to America to avoid the import taxes and cause trade imbalances to disappear. We talked about the reshoring job numbers yesterday in the United States, specifically in Mississippi, where Mississippi is projected in 2025 to bring on the third most jobs of any state in the United States, trailing only Texas and Georgia in terms of jobs that have gone away and are coming back to the United States. Scott Bessent was on an interview with Bloomberg, and he talked a little bit about this large trade deal with Japan.
Last week, you joined me, John, and Lisa, and you said you were going to Japan for the World Expo. It wasn't really going to be focused on trade. You came back. The president had a 75-minute meeting as well last night with the trade negotiator. You were in the room, and he got this deal with you alongside him over the finish line, even though the reporting out of Washington that actually the discussions with Japan were quite difficult. What changed in the last 24 hours?
Look, Anne-Marie, we had some discussions about the overall U.S.-Japan relationship, which was one of the strongest in the world when I was in Tokyo and Osaka. And then we got back. There were elections on Sunday. LDP did slightly better than expected. They don't have a majority. Japanese government was ready to deal. And as only President Trump could do, he brought the Japanese trade delegation into the Oval and had a very fulsome negotiation with them. And I tell you, they're tough negotiators, but President Trump's tougher.
These are happening over and over. And they're not perfect, but the deals are in place. And so Japanese wins because they go from 25% to 15% on the tariff rate. And the United States gets another significant investment into the economy. And what about the tariff income itself? Lance, am I crazy? Did the news from June fly under the radar a little bit? I know we mentioned it. I'm not sure we mentioned it enough in passing. But in June, the United States had a budget surplus. Now, it's only a 1-month deal. But in June, the United States had a budget surplus for the first time in a decade.
I was going to say it was like a decade. Yeah,
2015 was the last time that any single month the United States was not underwater. There was a budget surplus last month, and it was largely because of the revenue coming in from the tariffs that have been in place. Should that have been a bigger story than it was?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's spending time in the financial world. I mean, you can make a dog look like a duck when it comes to accounting and numbers. So, I think everything's smart to set back.
Decades worth of evidence.
I agree. I just think it's smart to sit back and allow the dust to settle and see where these trade deals end up. And because, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what we're trying to do is we've talked about, recruit business back, spend more money here, build, pay taxes, do that, and employ Americans. And that's a process. So, yeah, these are huge wins. I want to watch them unfold and see how they do in the moderate and longer term. But, yeah, these are huge stories and great feathers in the hat.
I completely agree with you that anytime we're talking about economic news, you need to take a long-range view, right? You've got to see what it looks like over a long period of time.
But it's a big deal to have a surplus for the first time in a decade. If you
have, let's see, 10 years times 12 months, 120 consecutive months in which you have had your budget has been negative, and you get to a month where your budget is in the positive.
Great sign.
It feels like that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, if mine was, personally, I know how that would feel if I all of a sudden had, $1,000 left at the end of the month versus running in the red. I mean, I'd feel wonderful. We're talking about trillions of dollars, though. So
yeah.
These are big numbers.
And it might not mean that next month is going to be exactly the same, but it would certainly feel like a win in the short term. They have more on this economic news front. Got a couple of clips to play for you. And coming up in just a little while, about 15, 20 minutes from right now, Dr. Erin Riggins from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, the Harrison County campus, will join us. More MRC with you right after this.
From the Bendable Glass Traffic
Morning. Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
With the windows down, people look at her and they look at me and say that boy is sure living in luxury, sweet luxury. Because love is more precious than gold. It can't be bought.
Glad to be with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. We get a question. What is our current tariff rate for Canada? We order items from there. Our shipping on 2 boxes was $27. Our tariff charge listed was $75. Nylon parts for water departments. Current tariff rate with Canada. It is 25% currently. Actually, July, Trump increased that number to 35%. And it's not good.
Yeah, but $75 on a $27 ticket, that's not 30%.
Well, no. The shipping was $27.
our shipping.
So they
okay,
ordered the
yeah,
product.
I got you,
The shipping cost was $27. The tariff charge was $75 on top of that. So
30%, yeah.
$102 on top of the cost of the goods. I mean, that is real money.
Get it together, Canada. Come on.
Well, but doesn't that go to the larger thing here? So, yes, is that inconvenient? Absolutely. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it detrimental for business relations with Canada? Yes. But Trump looks at Canada and he goes, we're not going to continue to do this. And you say, well, we're going to take the whiskey off the shelves, United States whiskey off the shelves in Canada, and we've cooled off from the fall when, things were going crazy in terms of relations with Canada, but it's not going away. And Trump is like, it can go out of the news for a little bit, but we're not going to bow the knee to Canada or any other country in terms of economics. And yeah, it may not be much fun. It may be hard. It may be expensive in the short term. But as we talked about last fall and in the winter and around the election and in the inauguration time window, which country is more suited to be able to play the long game on this? Like if this is a game of chicken, who's got the bigger truck?
Well, how much Canadian Hunter and Canadian Mist and Canadian Club do they want to sell?
Yeah,
I might run by the liquor store just to see what those prices are on the Canadian bourbons or whiskeys, whatever you call them.
Thomas says MAGA still thinks that other countries pay the tariffs. In part, they do, though, Thomas. Yes, some of that is being passed along to the American consumer. There's no doubt. And it has resulted in higher prices. But there are a lot of fundamental pieces of the economy, and price of goods is just one thing.
Well, you also have choices, right? I mean, you don't have to buy Canadian goods.
Right.
You don't have to buy Chinese goods. I think that's part of what Trump and this administration are trying to accomplish is, promoting purchasing U.S.-made products if you can find them and they're readily available. But, yeah, I mean, you do have choices. This is capitalism. Nobody's forcing anyone to buy anything other than the basic necessities that you have. I mean, there's a lot of luxury out there, and you're going to pay more for certain items in luxury. You just are. I mean, now, say in nylon water filters or whatever, is there another option out there for purchasing those where you don't have to go to Canada? Maybe not right now, but hopefully we will see, as business hopefully comes back, we'll see a little bit more done here. And those prices would be fair because they're domestic production. You're not having imported tariffs on them. So we'll see. That's what I'm saying about some of this. I'd like to see it all kind of shake out before I make any, sweeping condemnation or praise on tariffs. I think they're working. They're showing that it gives us leverage, but I don't think that in the long term that's going to be a strategy that works. But in the short term, it's definitely seemed to have stimulated conversation and partnership.
Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, talked more about tariff income, the budget surplus, and what this all means for the U.S. He was on the interview circuit yesterday.
I think he's created a lot of leverage because he's created an A-B situation. He is able to go to the trading partners and say, look, I am happy to take in this tariff income if you don't want to negotiate. This is a high rate, but the U.S. is taking in massive amounts of tariff income. We had the first June budget surplus since 2015 last month. We reported it this month, and so we are taking in substantial income. So President Trump is creating this leverage by saying, if you don't want to negotiate with me, I've sent you a letter with a high rate. Have at the high rate, or come and negotiate in better fashion. Because I'll tell you, what was fascinating for me, and this was President Trump at his best, was the Indonesians came with what I thought was a very good offer out of the blocks. President Trump kept pushing them. He raised the reciprocal rate when he sent them the letter, and 5 iterations later, the Indonesian trade deal was greatly improved, turned into a great deal for both sides.
And to me, that's interesting to hear the Treasury Secretary say, look, we want to negotiate in good faith with our partners. And they came to the table and they brought what I thought was a really good deal. And Trump responded, not good enough. No, you got to do better than that. Got to do better than that. And he pushed, and he pushed, and he pushed, and he pushed, and then finally got what turned out to be a more beneficial deal for the United States. And that deal with Indonesia that they announced yesterday is it's an open economy for American products going into Indonesia and a tariff rate on Indonesian products coming into the United States at 15%, I think. And got 3 deals done yesterday. So the Japan deal was the one that turned into the big headline grabber. It was the third of the 3, but the other 2 were Indonesia and the Philippines. And this process just continues. I was looking at a tariff-related timeline. And it's like there's just so much news, but it's almost impossible to keep up with because you're like over and over and over. And then on the economic front, how do the interest rates play into this? How does it work? Jerome Powell, will he stay? Will he go? Is he going to be put in a bad spot for fraud because they've spent too much on the Federal Reserve's building, cost overruns, and all of those things? And look, I don't think what Trump is saying about interest rates is makes sense. The idea that the Federal Reserve key interest rate should be 1%, most money people tell you, no, it needs to be higher than that, but it doesn't need to be up over 4%. This was Trump yesterday in a press conference.
An interest that we have to pay. That with the striking of a pen, we would be saving more than $1 trillion. Is that right, Scott? Yes, you have anything to say about it?
This was I'm sorry, I started that far there.
Something you sort of have or you don't have. They don't, the job he's done is just terrible. He ought to raise interest rates. You know, we should be at 1%. We should be leading the world. Instead, we're paying 4%. And if you look.
So Trump's saying that the key rate for the United States should be at 1%. And some of this, and Lance, this is complicated. I mean, I don't think there's any way
on the 1%
to get past it. I mean, probably, we talked with Peter Costa a couple of weeks ago, and he said, 2.5% is probably a good spot.
You don't want to be at 1%. 1% is too much money sloshing around, too cheap. Everybody takes advantage of it, and then you increase a debt bubble there, and it becomes a problem. You don't want to be at that point.
But Trump's point is we've got this massive national debt of $37 trillion.
No, that'll definitely reduce the interest on it.
And we are paying $1 trillion a year in interest. So 1/37th of the debt that we owe, the money that is just nothing but interest. And if you cut the rate, then in theory, you're able to whittle into the principal more quickly.
From the government perspective, but how does that deal with the actual consumer? And, that's credit card debt. People start floating way too much personal debt when you put rates so low. It's an encouragement to go borrow money. So on the consumer side,
but
it's dangerous.
If money stays cheap forever, then it's not a problem. The problem is when those interest rates tick up, whether you buy a house,
always,
or you put money on a credit card, or you invest in a business and you bought really cheap money, and then you get to a point where you got to refinance that, and the money is more expensive. Then you get into a really, really difficult spot, and you start talking about government bailouts and everything.
There we go. That's the issue.
There's a fine line. There's a small needle to thread. A lot of good stuff happening in Mississippi. One of those good things, Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. We'll talk more about them and what's happening at MGCCC with Dr. Erin Riggins next.
Now it's come to what you want to have.
From the Seabrook Paint
segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
The Neshoba County Fair, Mississippi's giant house party, is back and bigger than ever. SuperTalk Mississippi will be there. Founders Square next Thursday. Mornings with Richard Cross, followed by middays with Gerard Gibbert. Going to be live from the Neshoba County Fair, one of the biggest events of the year. And we don't want you to miss it. It's going to be nice and cool for our time at the fair next week. We're certainly looking forward to that. Tell you what's not cool right now is Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. They're hot. And got a big announcement just a couple of days ago about a new grant that has come in, $750,000 for trade programs that are being administered by Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Dr. Erin Riggins is vice president of the Harrison County campus of MGCCC. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Doing well. It sounds like things are moving quickly and moving in a good direction. This was the second grant that Mississippi Gulf Coast has gotten from Lowe's in the last, 3 years or so. So obviously Lowe's is committed to investing in schools and in states that are investing in its people. Talk to us a little bit about what this particular grant means.
As you know, we have a tremendous shortage in the areas of career trades, the career and technical, but especially construction and electrical trades. With explosion of growth in the state, coupled with people aging out in retirement from the field and the young people not really interested in going into trades, we have to come up with a way to solve this shortage. And so, here with this grant, we're going to use it to expand training and get people to the workforce.
Dr. Riggins, this is something that we've talked about a lot in Mississippi. It's people that are in the industry, that are in the workforce industry, have seen coming, and it's been a conversation for a number of years. It feels like it's becoming more of a national conversation as well, as people are recognizing, hey, there's an opportunity here, and opportunity may be the biggest word. So you said there are lots of young people that don't necessarily want to go down these roads. Is that changing at all? Are you starting to see a little bit of a shift?
Interestingly enough, in this past year or two, we have seen a little bit of a shift. I think partly because we're really communicating in the high schools to students to let them know, the opportunities out there. This is not the trade of the past. There's a lot of technology that's actually embedded in these trades now. And so that's becoming a little bit more interesting to them. But also, I think they're seeing the payoff. There are lots of great opportunities, great high-paying jobs, and the ability to stay right here at home and make a difference.
We talk about the high-paying jobs, and to me, that's kind of the headline grabber. But it's also not a get-rich-quick scheme either. I mean, I know we all want to win that $300 million Powerball. That'd be great. That'd be a lot of fun. But most of us are not actually going to win that. And so how do you communicate with young people today in the way that I guess people communicated with us, is that you're starting a career. This is a lifetime of earning. And when we talk about good salaries, we're talking about starting salaries. We're not talking about where you're going to be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now.
That's a great question. And actually, we have to paint the picture for them. It starts with understanding the finances early. And so we even embed that. We're changing our general education core year so that all students get a little bit of an understanding about that financial responsibility later in life, but understanding not only that salary being important to their lives, but also the retirement benefits and the insurance. And these are things that we have to remind them because they are a generation of quick payoff. And so they want to see results instantly. So we do have to show them that it does take hard work and growing in the industry. But we have pathways to do that. And that, I think, has made the biggest difference. Expanding partnerships with our high schools, that's a big deal, as well as our university partners.
One of the things that I've wondered about and I've asked people about as well is, and I think maybe this is what you're getting to, is not just financial literacy, but kind of a business background. Because you get so many people that they hear trade worker, they think, okay, I'm going to go work for a construction company, or, maybe I'm going to be, an electrical contractor on my own, but don't necessarily have the business background of, okay, how am I going to turn this into a business and grow it and scale it? Is there a component there that's focused on entrepreneurism or, understanding of basic business principles, that type stuff?
Yes, and actually what we're doing is we're creating pathways so that they can learn the skilled trades here, but also get to where they need to go advancing at the university. So what we're going to do is train them in the construction and electrical trades, and then we are going to create articulations with our university partners that allow them to go on to the next level, to learn about construction management and leadership in the field. So that's an important opportunity. That way we can solve the workforce shortage of today, get them to work, but also give them an opportunity to grow for the future.
We were talking about long-term a second ago, and I've got a 12-year-old son. He's going to be in 7th grade this year. And so I'm kind of thinking about him as an example here. We've heard about shortages in specific career fields in the past, whether it's a nursing shortage or a pharmacy shortage, and you hear about, we got to have all these jobs and there are great opportunities here. And you wonder, like, okay, are people going to take advantage of that and then the shortage goes away? Or is this a long-term thing? Is it a 7th grader now who is, 5 years from college and maybe 10 years from entering the workforce? Are those opportunities going to remain for a long period of time?
I think we're expecting upwards of 20 to 30% growth in these trades in the next 10 years. Wow. So it is going to continue. These jobs will continue to exist. And that's an awesome thing because that means our state is growing, the buildings and the infrastructure. And so we're preparing to provide the training for that. And with these programs, what we're going to do is provide an opportunity to expose students at the middle school and high school levels to ideas, the concepts in these trades. That way they can come in. We're going to develop a makerspace and a lab for construction so that they can see what the skills are like, see what the job outlook is like, and that way they can experience it a little bit, get interested early, and then maybe come on to us and train and go into the industry in the future.
We know that the community college system in Mississippi is so incredibly important. I've had the opportunity to be on the Perkinston campus a couple of times in the last couple of years. You're in the Harrison County campus. What are you seeing in terms of reception of community college, of going to a local community college, staying local? Is it growing? I know it feels like on Gulf Coast campus there's a lot of growth and a lot of good that's happening.
We are seeing so much growth. And, it takes a little while to get people to understand that we're not the community colleges of the past. We're the best at what we do. We train people to go to industry, to go on to the next level. And they're some of the best students that are prepared in this state. And I'm so proud of our community college system and what we do. And so we try to inform parents and we try to inform our communities about the programs that we offer and the opportunities that come from that. We were just recognized yesterday by USA Today for being a top vocational school in the nation. And so that's a big deal. I think we're making our mark in a lot of places on the nationwide front. And that way it allows us to really show what we can do. Not only that we're providing some skills, but we're doing so in forward thinking, innovative ways and really trying to solve the workforce shortage in a way that works for all.
Visiting with Dr. Erin Riggins. She's vice president of the Harrison County campus at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. In the release and in the story that we had at SuperTalk.fm, there were some specific things that were outlined about this $700,000 grant coming on board, and kind of laid out some of the practical application of how this money is going to be spent. What does that look like?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to tell you. So first, we're going to have a construction management I'm a teacher at heart, so I love to teach and train, and I certainly love to connect with the industry and make sure that we're serving their needs and supporting our students in the community, so it's exciting. But we're going to open a construction management technology program in the fall here on the Harrison County campus. We're also going to add a night cohort for our electrical technology program, so that'll allow us to double our capacity. We already have a day program, and not only double our capacity, but increase the pipeline of apprentices. So we're working in that area as well. And we're developing that construction lab makerspace that we talked about so that students can get the real hands-on experience in an innovative way and learn those skills that they need to get to work. But in addition to all of this, and probably most importantly, we're providing scholarships to students because access to training means nothing if we can't help remove the barriers to those trainings. And so that's why we're so excited about this opportunity.
The evening course, I mean, am I hearing you right that this gives somebody the ability to if they have a job right now, they're like, I can't stop what I'm doing to go just start a new career. I don't have the luxury of stopping income just so I can go launch a new career. So whatever it is that you're doing, you can figure out a way to work during the day and then begin this process at night. It's that simple, right?
That's right. And a lot of times they're actually working in the trade. So they're getting hands-on experience in the job that they're learning and coming to us, as well as working in many other industries. But yes, this opportunity provides flexibility so that we can support those working adults, those career changers out there who are coming back to change their lives. And again, allows us for the growth in the apprenticeship world.
I can hear the excitement in your voice. I know there are a lot of good things that are happening at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Thanks so much for your time this morning and for sharing some about this.
Thank you so much, and we're so grateful to Lowe's Foundation for their investment in our community.
$700,000 on top of $1 million grant just a couple of years ago. Dr. Erin Riggins, VP at the Harrison County campus of Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. We've got more coming up with you this morning. My thanks to Dr. Riggins for joining us. We're back on the other side of this timeout. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Bendable Glass Traffic.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
Well, preacher man talking on TV, cutting down my rock and roll. He wants me to send a donation. He said he's worried about my soul.
Good conversation with Erin Riggins from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College about that $700,000 grant from the Lowe's Foundation and for all the good stuff that's happening at MGCCC. Lance, I feel like I nerd out on some of the economic development news and some of the job opportunity news, but I think that's maybe more than anything a function of kind of where I am in life right now, and lots of others are, with kids who are growing up in a time where everything is more expensive than it's ever been, who have life stuff that just happens fast. I mean, it feels like a blink of an eye from, our oldest daughter, Ava Montgomery, being born to the fact that she's about to start 10th grade, that Obi is now 12 years old, and like he's getting into the point where he's got football practice and, probably needs to pick up a little job on the side, and you're starting to grow that work ethic. But, like, if you're thinking about it from a longer range standpoint as a parent, okay, how am I going to pay for college? How am I going to pay for a wedding? How are we going to make sure that our kids have all the things that they need and that, a lot of the things that they want? But I don't know that we always necessarily think about, but how are they going to do that for themselves when 5 years from now or 10 years from now they're done with college and they're trying to figure out kind of their role in life as, they begin a career and maybe they're beginning relationships with a husband or a wife and thinking about having kids of their own, and they're going to be the ones that then have to support all these things. It's hard, right? I mean, it's not easy being a grown-up. It's not easy making sure that all of your bills are paid every single month. And as soon as you get them all paid this month, guess what? You got to do it again next month. And the next month after that. And you'd like to save some money, and you'd like to go on a vacation, and you'd like to, buy some fun stuff from time to time. How are you going to pay for all that? And then you hear, like, these opportunities are out there. And the state of Mississippi, like through the community college system, we're going to talk with Scott Waller coming up with the Mississippi Economic Council. These economic development projects that are being announced over and over and over by the governor's office, $35 billion in the 5.5 years that Tate Reeves have been in office. They're not just headlines. They're not just news stories. Like, there's a follow-through that has to happen and a lot of work that has to be done, and people are going to be paid for the work that is done. And when those projects are done, there are going to be more projects. Like, opportunity is there, and it's like maybe there's a little bit of peace of mind there.
Well, I mean, being young's tough too. I mean, being a grown-up's obviously hard but being young, you don't really know what the trends are going to yield. Long-term trends change. I remember being in college and you had a great need for this, and then 10 years later, now you have a great need for engineers. And so, you have this educational system that seems to almost sometimes be behind the curve. We're seeing that with the trades, where you have a huge need for skilled labor to install, fix, build, and do the things that are necessary to grow as an economy. But we didn't invest in that early enough, and we're getting it's kind of like interest rates. You raise them too much, you back them down too much, you have these unintended consequences. So, yes, it's very difficult, but I think we're seeing much more preparation. We're seeing investment into the workforce that we're going to desperately need and really need it now. So, yeah, there's great opportunities for young folks. But, again, it takes that time to kind of look into the future, see what you want to be. Are the needs going to be there? And hopefully you have parents that are paying attention to those things that can say, hey, maybe we need to focus on this too. Not just one thing, but maybe getting a more diverse skill set. So you don't get pigeonholed into one thing, as maybe conditions in life and maybe the economic conditions in the world change with the innovation and the technology. As you said, things are changing fast. So it is more important today to be diverse in your skill set and serious about getting an education.
And the one thing that hasn't changed, like the career tracks may have changed, hard work is undefeated.
Being on time, hard work.
You show up when you said you're going to be there. And you work hard, and maybe you do a little bit more than you're asked. And it's like this tortoise and the hare thing. Like I 100% absolutely want to win that Powerball jackpot.
Yeah.
Odds are,
you and me both.
I'm not going to. And so we're going to keep getting up early in the morning, and we're going to talk on the radio, and we're going to do games on TV, and you just got to be steady, and you got to keep going. And anyway. Sorry, I'm waxing poetic a bit. Rusty says, when I was growing up in the late 60s, the only people who went to a junior college were those who couldn't handle a senior college. It's different now. When I was coaching, I encouraged my players to go to community college to get the basics out of the way. That's more cost-effective, prepares them to be away from home. Yes, on all of those things, but I think you're doing a disservice if you say it's only to get the basics out of the way. I think community colleges in Mississippi have gone past I just want to get my English comp and my biology and my algebra requirements out of the way. It's not just now that certainly that opportunity exists, but there's a whole lot more than just that. C-Spire text line open at 601-879-4395. 8 o'clock hour on the way. Scott Waller will join us from MEC. We're back after the news. It's Mornings with Richard Cross.
Your home. Time to switch on. Mornings with Richard Cross. On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
Pleasure being with you on this Wednesday morning. Today is the 23rd of July. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Are you thinking about a land purchase? Do you have the dream of owning land? Whether it's a piece of hunting property, a piece of property for farming, or maybe it's just investment. Well, whatever your land needs are, David Fisher Land Company can help you. David Fisher Land Company has been in the land brokerage, the land appraisal, the farmland management business for over 40 years. They are located in the heart of the Mississippi Delta in Inverness, Mississippi, but they're certainly not limited to Inverness or even the Mississippi Delta. They service Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Whether you're looking for 100 acres or several thousand acres or maybe an equity share in a hunting club, David Fisher Land Company is ready to earn your business. They've got customers across the Southeast, so if you've got a piece of property that you need to sell, they would love to help you with that as well. Let me give you their website, davidfisherland.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with them, to see what they've got available, and to get their contact information. davidfisherland.com. Reach out to David, Jack, or Travis. They'd love to help you with all of your land needs. And do us a favor. Tell them you heard about them right here on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. David Fisher Land Company, davidfisherland.com. I feel like our interviews this morning dovetail nicely. A good conversation with Dr. Erin Riggins at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College just a little while ago. And now our friend Scott Waller joins us, President and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council. Scott loves it when it's 97 degrees outside with 85% humidity, so this is his time of the year. Good morning, my friend.
Richard, I tell you what, I'm a lifelong Mississippian, and this weather is something, but there are days I just wonder why. Anyway, great to see you, sir.
I don't want to live in San Diego, but that whole 75 and sunny for like 340 days out of the year doesn't sound so bad.
So, no, I listened with great interest with the conversation with you and Dr. Riggins, and we had a SWIB executive committee meeting on Monday, and one of the things we spent a lot of time talking about was the construction trades and what's taking place. And again, I think there's so much that's been happening. And you think about over the last 5 years, you mentioned this as you was going out of the last segment about the amount of economic development we've had across the state of Mississippi in the last 5 years. And you think about what's happening in workforce and with the creation of Accelerate Mississippi, we're poised to really continue to see some amazing things happen over the next 10 to 15 years in our state.
If leadership from the governor's mansion through the legislature continues down this path, where Mississippi continues to be aggressive even after the time in office comes to an end for Governor Tate Reeves and his economic record at this point, like there are no holes that you can poke into it. But if that continues, and I've talked about, maybe even with you in the past, this trajectory that in a lot of ways started with Haley Barbour and continued with Phil Bryant, and it certainly has continued on steroids with Tate Reeves. If it continues, is the only thing that could hold up continued growth a lack of a workforce that can handle the growth?
I think that's the number one issue. I think we have everything else in our favor. I think when it comes to the infrastructure that we're talking about, and I want to talk a little bit about that later, because I was actually in D.C. last week at the same event that I know you had earlier this week. You had Chairman Lamar on. The things that we're doing in that area, the site availability, those things that we're putting emphasis in, we're setting ourselves up for great success, and even more success than what we've seen. But workforce has to be the key of all of this. How do we create and get people to understand the importance of an available, skilled workforce, and not just those coming out of high school and college, but those that are currently in the workforce? How do we make sure they have opportunities to upskill and reskill and do the things that we really need to create that workforce? Because when you think through what is happening right now in all of different areas, and I mean, and also we think about the importance of the trades, and they're very important, and the emphasis that's being put on those again, finally, in a way that people understand what that's all about. But we're also talking about technology jobs that's come in this state that we've never seen before. So I mean, we've got a lot of areas we've got to really be focusing our attention on, and I think we've got great leadership, as you said, from the governor's mansion on down. We've got great people running things like Accelerate Mississippi with Dr. Taylor and the work she's doing. We are in position to really see our state continue to be at that top. And I mean, I got tickled this morning early on. You were talking about, and I had never heard that statistics were kind of like a bikini when you made that statement this morning. That one was new to me, but I thought that was great because it does show you a lot, but it doesn't show you everything. But if you look at the data, and we've been talking about this data since the first of the year, because when we were looking at where we were with GDP growth, where we were with personal income growth across the state, we only had 2 quarters to compare it to. But as you know, the entire year of 2024 panned out that Mississippi had the second highest growth in GDP of any state in the country. That doesn't happen by accident. Yeah. And that's where we see a really defined plan of what's taking place, and we just have to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, you've heard the phrase a million times. Whether you're talking about bell bottoms or whatever else, everything that's old is new again. And I think back, 10, 15 years, and there were people that were kind of in the business community that were visionaries, and they were talking about, look, the need that we have is for coders. You know, we've got to have more computer engineers. We've got to understand the importance of coding. And AI, even though it's been around for a little long time, but artificial intelligence 15 years ago was, compared to where it is today in terms of mainstream, was kind of in its infancy. And now I'm seeing these things that people are like, you know, AI is going to be able to handle those coding jobs that we were talking about 10 years, 15 years ago. But there's no amount of artificial intelligence that can install an HVAC system. There's no amount of artificial intelligence that can maybe design, but can't lay out pipes or electrical grids. And so you talk about sustainability, it's like, well, There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. I do want to touch that. I think AI is going to make work easier, but I think we're never going to get to a point where we're not going to have the human element involved in that. So I think that's one of the things that's very important. But as it relates to those types of jobs, yes, it's going to have to be done by someone who knows what they're doing. And there may be technologies that make their job easier. There may be technologies that are part of it, that it's not as the old grunt work that it used to be.
Well, a nail gun is more efficient than a hammer.
A nail gun is much more efficient than a hammer.
But somebody's still got to pull the trigger on the nail gun.
Somebody's got to pull the trigger. You still got to do that. So I think all of those things are having the properly trained people is the key. And I think that's what we're seeing with our community colleges and you know, the way that they're structured things now. They've got, you know, the dollars are there if they prove there are outcomes with it. And I think that's where we're really seeing a difference. It's not just, we're going to put money into a program. Mm-hmm. No, we're going to put money in a program if you can show us that you're putting people into the workforce. And putting people in the workforce in Mississippi is the biggest key to all of that.
Scott Waller is president and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council. You mentioned that you were in D.C. last week. Chairman Lamar, when we talked earlier this week, said in the 14 years that he served in the legislature, he's never seen anything like this from a presidential administration. So from the federal level, in terms of welcoming in state leaders, in terms of trying to lay out the roadmap for what is happening at the federal level and how it can work in conjunction with the states. Give us your perspective on that.
Well, I think it's important to have that relationship, one. And I think, as he mentioned, he had been planning to go be part of this conference. It's the Transportation Investment Advocacy Center does a workshop every year. I've been fortunate enough to serve on the TAC Council, which is kind of the smaller group that kind of talks about the issues we want to bring to the forefront. And Mississippi, you know, with what we have been doing in transportation, and I know that the biggest thing was we finally got some dedicated funds through increasing the fuel use tax for road use. But even if you go back to 2018 in the special session, the work that was done by the legislature and Chairman Lamar was very involved in that process of moving some of the dollars. I jokingly called it among the council members when we were meeting the day before. I called it our program of Powerball for potholes, where we're moving dollars from the lottery into and it's being used very, very well by the Department of Transportation for maintenance of our 2-lane highways across the state, which are so important, the arteries that get us to our 4-lane highways. So it was very good to have them there. It just so happened that the other came up, and there was a large group of legislators up there. We got to visit with some of them, but they were just amazed at just what they were able to learn about what's happening within the federal government and within the administration. And I think that open communication is going to go so far in helping us be more successful in the state.
We got more coming up with Scott Waller, including a message that comes in from Chase in Columbus on the C Spire text line. He says, what do we have in mind for making sure continued economic growth doesn't eventually drive cost of living up for the average Mississippians? He references Central Texas and Eastern Tennessee, where it's been tough for people that have been there for a really long time. We'll tackle that question and a whole lot more with Scott Waller on the other side of this timeout. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Ready? Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
What
When I close my eyes late at night, you can bet I thank my maker. She keeps on loving.
A little Red Clay Strays this morning, Lance. I like it.
Yes, sir.
I like it very much.
Got to hang out with those guys, man. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah?
Good people.
Very good. Scott Waller's my guest, president and CEO at the Mississippi Economic Council. So let's go to that question from Chase, because I think it's an interesting and relevant question. I think he was pointing specifically to that Austin, Texas area that saw the rapid growth and just the spiraling cost in terms specifically of the housing market. Seen it in East Tennessee. You've seen it in the Greenville, South Carolina area. Areas that have had big growth. There is some growing pain that goes along with that. How do you thread the needle with those two?
That is a tough one, because what we're trying to do and focus our attention on, and I know I'll remember this. I'll always remember this. That the first time I sat down with Tate Reeves, between the time he got elected governor and was inaugurated as governor, he and I had a conversation about what he wanted to focus his attention on. And one of the things that didn't surprise me, because I heard him say it before, but he really spent some time talking about how do we grow per capita income? How do we increase income for our citizens who live in the state of Mississippi?
I've heard him talk about that sitting on one of your stages as recently as just a few months ago.
Exactly. And so he has put a lot of effort into saying we've got to raise this. So that's what, as I mentioned earlier, when you see that we are among the top states in income growth, that's an important part of providing us the ability to do things, buy things. Fortunately, we are still a very low-cost state, as it is for the cost of living. And I think that's one of those things we've got to kind of, how do you juxtapose those two things? Because as people have more money to spend, they'll spend more, they want to buy a little more expensive house, a little more expensive car, whatever the case may be. So that tends to drive up the prices. But I think the key is the one thing that can be done from an economic standpoint is to, one, keep taxes low, and try to make sure that, one of the biggest problems Texas faces is they had astronomical property taxes. That is, they may not have a state income tax, but they got astronomical property taxes. Sure. So if we can continue to keep our taxes low, our income tax is low now, and there's a process that's been put in place to phase it out. We've just got to make sure we're able to provide those things without raising it in other places. And I think that's how we can, there's going to be certain things that we can avoid. The cost of goods is going to be determined by other things. But what we can do as a state is to try to make sure we're keeping those things in line to make it so that we can take advantage of the growth in income that we're seeing among those that are working in our state.
Scott Waller, President and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council. MEC has worked in conjunction with and closely with a couple of other organizations, including the Mississippi Manufacturers Association and Bipec. We got the news, a year or so ago that there was an attempt to merge these three organizations into a single organization. Where are we on the timeline?
We are right on time.
Okay.
We are very fortunate. A couple of months ago, our executive committees of the organization signed a letter of intent to merge. Okay. So we are in the process of putting all those things in place of what it's going to take to merge the organizations. Just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we announced that the name of the new organization will be the Mississippi Business Alliance. It will serve as the State Chamber of Commerce. It will also be the affiliate for the National Association of Manufacturers. So again, we will be representing the new organization will be representing all sectors of the economy, but we'll have a strong manufacturing presence. That's a big part of our economy in this state. We got to make sure that the voice of manufacturing is heard as well as everything else. And we benchmarked ourselves with some other states that already are combined with these organizations, and one of them has very similar numbers to what we have in Mississippi as it relates to manufacturing. And they said, look, manufacturing drives the entire economy. We've got to make sure we keep that at the forefront. So, again, we're very excited about where we are. If all goes as planned, that we will be bringing a definitive agreement to our full boards probably by the end of September to create the new organization, and then over the next 2 to 3 months, standing that organization up and then all the assets and liabilities of the existing three organizations will be put into there so that we can then have a single organization as we go forward. And I'm so excited about this. It's something that has been on my radar for several years. It's something that for the last couple of years, John McKay at MMA and Derek Easley at Bipec and I have had multiple hours of conversations and planning and really the volunteer leadership from our members that have taken the time to give us the insight that they have to make this happen. It's an exciting time for Mississippi. I think not only will the business community benefit from a single organization, our state is going to benefit from a single organization.
So you mentioned John and Derek, and two super talented guys, and they've got really good teams around them, as you do at MEC. Is this just a merging of staffs as well, and then kind of a redistribution of responsibilities within that new leadership organizational structure?
That is how we've got it structured right now. There's been some staffing changes at Derek has one staffer, and so that's a little easier for him. Yeah. There's been some staffing changes both at MEC and MMA over the last 2 to 3 years, and we were we already had this kind of discussion taking place, and we was like, okay, let's figure out where are the strengths. What does the staff look like at MMA? How does it complement the staff at MEC, and try to make sure that we were doing that. So, I made a decision a couple of years ago that we just did some contract work with some folks to fill in some gaps so that when this time came, we would be better positioned for all of our staff to have an opportunity to move into the new organization and be successful.
Scott, I feel like anytime we talk, or anytime I have somebody else on and we're talking about economic development projects in Mississippi, we get a similar question. It comes in on the C Spire text line. And I understand the question. There are people in parts of rural Mississippi, and it feels like specifically southwest Mississippi is mentioned regularly, where it's like somebody's raising their hand and they're saying, what about us? We see these projects that are going in different parts of the state. What can we do for southwest Mississippi as well? This person says, specifically we've got an abundance of timber, but not enough mills. Just an example. So when you look at these, I know there's so many factors that go into place, right? Local leadership, support, everybody pulling in the same direction, availability of workforce, all of that stuff. Are there parts of Mississippi that need more attention, and is that on the radar?
I think it's on the radar, and I had an opportunity again on Monday. Man, Monday is a busy day. I had an opportunity to be with Bill Cork for a little while, and he made a presentation kind of talking about what has been happening in economic development. And when you think about, he showed a map of where all the projects have gone, and it really is all across the state. And I know some areas probably feel like, well, there's just not as much coming here. I can assure you the state doesn't take a winner's loser approach to where they want to put projects. In many cases, it's the site selectors that make those decisions. But I think the key is how do you do a better job of kind of selling yourself? And I think there's been some things that have really done. There's certain parts of the state that are unfortunately not seeing the same type of growth that you see in others. And I think that's where, how do you do it from a regional perspective, I think is where it really has to come down to. And you think back to years ago, I started my career as a sports writer of all things many years ago in Columbus, Mississippi. There wasn't a lot happening in Columbus back then. That area was really not attracting anything. It was just not going well. And then all of a sudden, they created the Columbus Lounge Link. Right. And they brought in a guy by the name of Joe Max Higgins. And I know you probably talked to Joe Max a few times, and he's a fireball without question. But then they took it to another level when they brought in Clay and Oktibbeha counties and created the Golden Triangle Link and started thinking regionally. Think about what happened in the Tupelo area with the Pool Alliance, the Pontotoc Union Lee County Alliance, that ultimately landed the Toyota manufacturing facility there at Blue Springs. Blue Springs actually isn't in Lee County. Tupelo gets all the credit, but it's actually in Union County. So, but it's because of that partnership with those regions that made it work. So, use those as examples and try to figure out who is it. How can you build that alliance with those around you from a regional perspective? and don't worry about where the actual project lands within that region. Just get it to that region. Everybody will benefit from it. That's the key, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we've seen that. And there are other, I mean, I know where I live in Oxford that there's work going on with a multi-county conglomerate that's trying to make sure that they're making decisions along those lines as well. It's a stronger together thing, and I guess different people bring different skills or different resources to the table, and you figure out a way to make it work, and it turns out to be a boon for the region.
Without question. Without question.
Scott, always a pleasure.
Thank
I
you
hope
so
we didn't
much.
miss anything today. If we did, we can do this again soon.
Good episode. Always enjoy it, Richard. Thank you so much.
As do I. Scott Waller, President CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council. Soon, somewhat soon, to be the MBA, the Mississippi Business Alliance. Half an hour left with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. We'll get to some of your messages on the C Spire text line and a whole lot more right after this.
It's just a hard way to go.
From the Seabrook Paint. Rise and shine with information and insight. Check it out. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mama's gonna wash all the way. She thinks mercy's overrated.
Thanks for being with us. We welcome you on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. C Spire, inspired by you. You know where else you are welcomed? Where they welcome you? Belk Ford, Oxford Toyota, Highway 6 West in Oxford. They make the car, truck, SUV buying experience as painless as it can be. I feel like dentists and car dealers have gotten a bad reputation through the years. You always heard people go, nobody wants to go to the dentist.
I like the gas.
No, I'm sure you do. Sure you do.
Are they offering that at Belk Ford
Nobody
now,
wants to go through the car buying experience. Well, truth of the matter is, the dentist is necessary, and so are car dealers. And so you want to pick a dentist that makes you feel comfortable, that does good work, that's efficient, that doesn't leave you sitting in the waiting room for a really long time. You want to do the same thing with an automobile purchase. You want to go to somebody that's honest. You want to go to somebody that's fair. You want to go to somebody that's not going to leave you on hold. You want to go to somebody that's going to listen to you. They're not just trying to sell you what they want to sell. They're going to listen to what you need, what you want, and then help get you into that vehicle, be it a car, a truck, or an SUV. They're going to help you find the best financing rates that are available, that are out there. If there's certain incentives, they're going to make sure that you know that those are available, and then they're not going anywhere. That's how Belk Ford operates. Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota have been in the automobile industry for over 100 years, dating back to the early 1900s. And they've been in their current location since the early 80s. Great selection on the lot of both previously owned and new vehicles. They're just a couple of days for an oil change and a tire rotation. Couldn't have been any easier. Promise they're going to take care of you as well. Give them a call. Stop by and see them. Visit them online, belkford.net, oxfordtoyota.com. Make the car buying experience as easy and as simple as it can possibly be. There's a better way at Belk. Belk Ford, Oxford Toyota, Highway 6 West in Oxford. And tell them Richard sent you. I would appreciate that very much. This story was interesting to me. It's kind of popped up this morning. There's an announcement on Fox and Friends by a New York representative. And on the surface, look, I mean, you get an announcement that somebody is running for re-election. Doesn't really make waves. And it makes waves locally. If Trent Kelly announces, hey, he's running for re-election to his congressional seat, it's news, but it's not surprising news. But then sometimes a candidate running for re-election is more significant than others. And the significance of this announcement from a New York congressman this morning should not be lost in the broader picture of there is a very slim majority in the House of Representatives. Right now, Republicans hold the edge, right? They hold the edge in the House. They hold the edge in the Senate. They got the White House. They got the mandate. They got the majority of, the popular vote, all of the things. But that majority can be, and frankly is, pretty perilous. You see people retire. We saw that with a representative from Tennessee yesterday. Your hope in Tennessee is that Tennessee elects another strong conservative to that seat, and it doesn't change the math. But one district where the math could have changed is in a district in New York. Representative Mike Lawler was strongly considering a run for governor in the state of Florida. Wanted to take on Kathy Hochul. But he is in a crucial House battleground district right now as the incumbent congressman from New York. His district covers a large swath of New York City's northern suburbs. And you know that the balance of power in New York leans heavily to the left. And so when you're talking about in the aggregate, Mike Lawler's seat matters nationally. And then in the more micro, it matters locally in New York that there's some Republican representation there. So it does a couple of things. It makes it easier. It makes it easier for Republicans to hold on to that seat when they've got an incumbent that's running for re-election. But what about the governor's race? So Kathy Hochul, here's what he said in his statement on Fox this morning. Mike Lawler said there's no question Kathy Hochul is the worst governor in America. Like, that's not even up for debate. In 2026, she needs to be defeated. But after months of deliberating over this and really working through it, I've decided the right thing to do for me and my family and my district is to run for re-election. Well, I fundamentally believe I am best positioned to take on Kathy Hochul and offer New Yorkers a real choice for governor. I've made the decision to run for re-election to the House and continue the important work I've been doing over the past 2.5 years. Now, President Trump endorsed Mike Lawler for re-election, I think it was back in May. So he's had the support of the president. But there's been a courting by the White House and by the administration of Mike Lawler to not make a run for governor because Representative Elise Stefanik is going to make a run for governor. And the idea for Republicans of possibly, or at least putting in play, 2 seats in the House by a pair of Republican representatives who want to make a bid for the governor's mansion in New York, by avoiding that math, the Republicans come out in better shape on the backside of this. Now, can Elise Stefanik beat Kathy Hochul? I don't know. 2 years ago, Lance, I did a game at Syracuse.
Orange men, huh?
Well, just the Orange now.
They're just the Orange.
Yeah, it's the Syracuse Orange. And I messed up my travel. I can't remember if I missed a flight or if something got canceled or whatever. So I ended up flying into Western New York. I flew into Rochester. It was about an hour drive from Rochester to Syracuse. And I've been to New York City a bunch of times, but had never been in the more rural parts of New York.
Which is mostly rural. I mean,
the
state is forests.
The drive from Rochester to Syracuse is a beautiful stretch of highway. And you know what it looks like? It looks like the Mississippi Delta. Farmland, barns, silos. And I think they've got silos, not grain bins in New York.
Probably some old farms, too. Been around since.
Old farms, a lot of green, a lot of trees, a lot of rolling hills, dairy farms. It was gorgeous. And it was a reminder that, yes, Manhattan is huge. Yes, there are 12 million people that live in Manhattan. And yes, the hub of economic activity is New York City and its 5 boroughs. But there's a lot more to the state of New York than just New York City. And I'll be really fascinated to see what the numbers look like. Because New York City obviously is going to drive the overall voting total, but what about the voice of the people in upstate New York? What about the voice of the people in western New York and the Rochester area? What about the voice of the people on the lake in Buffalo and in the Hudson River Valley? Like, those people have a voice too. And that voice tends to sound a whole lot different than the voice of some of the politicians you hear from in Manhattan.
I mean, if you look at the state itself, it's a patchwork of pinks and blues when it comes to your political affiliations. So into the hinterlands of New York, you do have a lot of conservatives up, as you move northern and away from the big cities.
Then on the flip side of this announcement, sometimes spin is just impressive, right? So Republicans make the announcement, Mike Lawler going to run for the seat, Elise Stefanik making the run at the governor's mansion, trying to knock out Kathy Hochul. So what do the Democrats say about this? This is credit where it's due, okay? This is beautifully crafted. From the New York State Democratic Party chair, Jay Jacobs. Mike Lawler caving to Donald Trump before his campaign even starts proves he's too weak to take on Governor Hochul, and he knows it, no matter where his name shows up on the ballot. That's beautiful. The Democrat Governors Association trolled Lawler this morning. Donald Trump has officially killed Mike Lawler's dream of becoming governor of New York and given the GOP gubernatorial nomination to his top D.C. ally, Elise Stefanik. Our condolences. And then one more from Kathy Hochul herself. This is the same Mike Lawler who caved to Trump the minute he asked to rip away New Yorkers' health care. Of course he doesn't have the spine to face me. That's spun well. It is. Credit where it's due, Lance. That was, they strike the right tone. No, it's all nonsense, but that's well done. Wrap it up next.
From the Venable Glass.
Hey, how's it going, man?
The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter. I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
An exceptional day by Lance Talbert on another Western Wednesday, Country Music Wednesday, Willie and Waylon Wednesday.
I didn't break out Willie and Waylon today. I was trying to do a little new stuff mixed with a little old.
It's good. Yeah. It's been good. Absolutely has been. Thanks for joining us this morning on Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Week from today, about this time, a little bit after this time, we'll be headed toward Neshoba County. The Neshoba County Fair will be there next Thursday, so that's a week from tomorrow where both middays with Gerard Gibbert and Mornings with Richard Cross will be broadcasting. I think we got to be running a bit of a social experiment, though, on Thursday morning, Lance. That's an early start. We know that the fair infamously has some late night gatherings. Wednesday and Thursday of next week are going to be the big speaking days, which means you're going to have a lot of folks in there within the political community in Mississippi. Is there anybody that hoots with the Owls that's going to soar with the Eagles?
Yeah, that's what I'm anxious. I want to see if there's anybody still partying by the time we get rocking and rolling on the air.
Well, okay, so that would be one thing, but I don't know that would make for great radio. And we certainly wouldn't want to out anybody. We wouldn't want to out anybody on that. But is
no
there
Coldplay
anybody
here?
No Coldplay. But is there anybody that's, crushing it and in some high-level conversations, air quotes, at 2 in the morning, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it's going to be up hanging with us when we do news headlines at 20 after 6. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll have some horses picked. Who the favorite sons are in the races. Mm-hmm. By then, it'll be all worked out.
Yeah. Appreciate all of your interaction this morning on the C Spire text line. A lot of good questions, especially when our conversation with Scott Waller was going on. I thought Chase in Columbus's question about the cost of living in Mississippi. If the economic growth continues and you continue to bring people in and there's a shortage of housing, how do you keep cost of living under control? It's one of those growing pains.
No, you want the market to be able to absorb and take advantage of things. Security, seeing into the future a little bit, having some solidarity of thought there helps you make bigger decisions in the longer term. And so anytime you have great growth like we're going to see, cost of living is going to go up. How is that going to impact the citizenry of Mississippi? Well, that's where we hopefully will have time to plan and build and do the things that are necessary instead of at a breakneck pace. Because anytime you do something like that financially, moving with haste, there's always going to be waste. And anytime government tries to, keep prices down, in my experience with it always go up. So you hope the market is able to absorb the demands, and we have housing and the needs are met and the things. So you're building in advance. And it's similar to what we were talking about with the workforce development, right? You got to have the workforce to get the work done. Or you're going to have to bring in people from all over to come here. It's going to cost a lot more to get that work done. So thinking in advance, very important to
That's right.
keeping cost of living at desirable rates.
All that's accurate. It is, but it's also hard to.
Oh yeah,
you're betting on the come.
That's right. Isn't that nailing Jell-O to the wall? Right.
Yeah. You're like there is an element of if you build it, they will come, but there's also an element of uncertainty that the speculation for that yields.
Well, the other is, you don't know of things like COVID that happen. I mean, there are a lot of people that had great assets.
The greatest wild card of all time.
I mean, you get thrown the joker there, and you really, there's billionaires still doing it. I sent you an article about the Cohen guy that's having to divest of massive properties, huge billionaire. But
about Steve Cohen?
Yeah, one of, I can't remember which Cohen it was. It's a big property mogul. But yeah, that's what you can't predict, right? You hope that you don't run into those types of issues, but that has been a huge driver in the costs that we've seen.
Certainly has been. In a lot of ways, there's carryover from day to day in our conversations on this show. But at the same time, each show has a little bit of a life of its own. Like each day kind of has its own personality. What are the stories that are driving the day? What are the things that really connect with you? Today's one of those days where I feel like we're going to walk away with a little bit of a pep in our step. The economic news is really good for the state of Mississippi. Our public schools are in a really good place right now. Not content, but in a good place as we move toward the start of a new year. Our community colleges are doing great. The economic development projects are on board. Got a lot of people pulling in the same direction right now. And when you get that, it just feels like you're in a pretty good spot. Let's keep it rolling. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday. Mornings with Richard Cross. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have an outstanding Wednesday.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.